So, students, in the last class, we discussed about the properties of a genetic material. So, DNA as being genetic material will show the following properties like ability to generate its replica, that is, self replication. And DNA is chemically and structurally stable when it is compared with the RNA. Why it is chemically stable? Because the 2' it has instead of hydroxyl, it has only hydrogen, and whereas the double stranded DNA will make it more stable than the RNA. So DNA provides mutations needed for the evolution, the variation which needed to occur, the evolution to takes place. We're going to see in the DNA. Our ability to express a Mendelian character is a unique characteristics where we'll find in DNA. So these four are the most important properties of the DNA, students, which make it suitable for a genetic material better than RNA. What are the properties? Self-replicating, chemical and structural stability, provide mutations needed for evolution, ability to express as a Mendelian character. So now, why the nature has selected RNA as DNA as a better genetic material than the RNA is because double-stranded nature of DNA make it stable. Presence of thymine instead of uracil make it chemically non-reactive. The most important thing is the DNA instead of hydroxyl, okay, it has only what we have seen here, students. This is the beauty of DNA. So this will make the DNA less reactive chemically compared to RNA. So these are the properties where what we have discussed already, why DNA as being selected as a better genetic material than RNA. Now, thus RNA is unstable. So RNA viruses, example bacteriophage, tobacco mosaicovirus, etc. mutated, evolve and faster rate. So RNA will be highly mutating, and it will make the viruses to mutate at the faster rate. DNA strands are complementary on heating. They separate in appropriate condition. They become together. In a Griffith experiment, some properties of DNA of the heat killed bacteria did not destroy. It indicates DNA is stable. So this is what we call the thermostability, students. What is the unique nature here? Double stranded DNA, when you heat it, it get converts into single stranded. This is called denaturation of DNA. What it is called as, students? Denaturation of DNA. When a double stranded DNA, when it get heated, it will undergo denaturation. So denaturation of DNA will make a double stranded DNA into single stranded DNA. When a suitable condition will reoccur on cooling, it again get renaturates. Renaturation in the sense the single stranded DNA again develop the hydrogen bonds between the complementary base pairs and develops into double helix. This process of denaturation and renaturation will show that the more of a stable and the stability of DNA with respect to heat. So in fact, you have seen that the smooth heat killed cells in the Griffith experiment were heat killed, but still DNA has not lost its property. It has been successful in transforming the rough strain into R strain. So it will indicate the stability of the DNA, and where the most important what you should understand, the thermostability, that means to say a double stranded DNA on heating will undergo what? Denaturation, in the sense the hydrogen bonds get breaks and they will develop as a single stranded structures. These on cooling get renatures and forms a double stranded DNA. This is called the thermostability, where this will be not existing with the RNA. So RNA fastly mutates is one of the drawback, and it is a single stranded, it is a second drawback, and third is chemically more reactive compared to DNA is a third drawback, where that's the reason why the nature has selected DNA as a DNA as a genetic material over RNA. Now, for the storage of genetic information, DNA is better due to its stability, but for transmission of genetic information, RNA is better. So what happens, even the genetic information is stored in the form of DNA, it has to be converted into RNA, then that RNA will undergo translation in form of protein, students. What you have seen here, this part what we call it as central dogma. So what is the central dogma? Central dogma is a pathway for the transfer of genetic information. Here you can see DNA will undergo transcription and form RNA. RNA will undergo translation, will produce protein. So this is a pathway for transfer of genetic information. So the process of conversion of DNA to RNA is called transcription. The process of conversion of RNA to protein is called translation. Translation to take place, the ribosomes are required. Ribosomes will copy the message present on the RNA in the form of codons into amino acids in the protein, students. That's the reason why we call ribosomes as the protein factories. So this, along with this, then the central dogma, one more thing where we can find the DNA can self-replicate. So DNA self-replication is possible. That is, DNA is a self-replication. DNA undergoes transcription and RNA undergoes translation and form protein. There is only one process where we can find RNA is going to produce DNA. This condition we are going to see in the retroviridae, or viruses which have the negative RNA strand, or viruses which have genome as a RNA, where they will convert RNA into DNA. Then they will insert this DNA into the genomic DNA of our cell and starts to produce viral particles. The process of producing RNA to DNA is called as a reverse of transcription. Reverse transcription, students. So what is transcription? Here the process of conversion of DNA into RNA. So here it is taking place in a reverse direction. The reverse transcription. This is what we're going to see in HIV, where it has a reverse transcriptase, an enzyme which can synthesize DNA by using RNA. So this is a replication of DNA, transcription of DNA, translation of DNA, RNA to protein. So this overall what we call it as central dogma, or the pathway for transfer of genetic information. So now RNA can directly code the protein synthesis, hence and easily express the character DNA is dependent on RNA for protein synthesis. So DNA cannot code directly. So what we will see here, DNA cannot code directly the protein. In order to protein to synthesize, DNA has to produce RNA by the process what we call it as transcription. So to express the character, RNA is required. DNA is a better structure for storing genetic information, whereas RNA is a better structure for expressing character. Now, if you see RNA world, so just now until now what we have discussed is DNA structure and DNA as a genetic material. Okay, we have discussed. And chemical composition of RNA we have done. Exceptionally, what we have difference is the pentose sugar is a ribose sugar where we're going to find in RNA, and instead of thymine we have uracil in the nitrogen base. So these are the two differences where we can find chemical nature. Whereas RNAs, there are various different types of RNAs are existing, students. The basic most one what we are showing here, it is mRNA. This one is called as mRNA. So this is tRNA, or what we call it as transfer RNA, tRNA. And this is rRNA, what we call it as ribosomal RNA, which is going to form the ribosome. So basically there are three types of RNAs are been classified based on the function they're going to perform. mRNA will carry the information or a message from DNA to which type of protein has to be synthesized. And ribosomal RNA is rRNA, where it is helpful in forming the ribosome structure. tRNA is the RNA where it will transfer amino acid to the site of protein synthesis, what we call it as tRNA. So basically three types of RNAs are there. So this is mRNA, rRNA and tRNA. So RNA was the first genetic material. It acts as genetic material and catalyst both. So that is what you need to get it, dear students. Why RNA is has been the genetic material in the first. So now the DNA has been selected as genetic material over RNA. But in early or like primitive life stage, we found RNA as a genetic material. Before to the DNA, the first genetic material was RNA. Why RNA was a genetic material? Because it is capable of acting as a genetic material as well as a catalyst. So catalyst in the sense where it can carry out the enzymatic reactions. So basically we call it as all the enzymes are made up of proteins, but there are some enzymes which are made up of nucleic acid, that is RNA. Such enzymes are called as ribozymes, students. Ribozyme. So this RNA as being catalytic were capable of catalyzing reactions, what they are called as ribosome. Ribozyme, students, not ribosome, ribozyme. So this is essential for metabolism, translation, splicing, etc. So evolved around RNA. DNA evolved from RNA for stability. Okay. So the DNA what it is formed now, it is actually formed from the RNA as being DNA as a stable. It is formed from RNA for its stability. So this is a what we call it as central dogma, as I've been mentioned already, students. You can find here very clearly what we have at the picture. So DNA will send a message in the form of mRNA. mRNA is going to be copied by this ribosome, will decode the message which is present in the form of codons. Okay, adenine, guanine, cytosine, thymine, what we're going to find in RNA, they will be arranged in the form of codons. Those codons are converted into amino acids by process of protein synthesis by using ribosome. So these amino acids, what they're going to develop as a protein, and these proteins are going to perform different functions of the cell. That's the reason why the DNA is called as master molecule, because it will guide or it will send a message to produce certain type of protein, and this protein is going to perform different function inside the cell. This is what we call it as central dogma, students, where DNA can replicate itself. Self-replication of DNA can take place. DNA can undergo transcription and form RNA, and RNA will undergo translation and form protein. This is a pathway for transfer of genetic information, what we call it as central dogma. So central dogma of molecular biology, it is a process, it is proposed by Francis Crick. So Francis Crick, that is Crick, who has developed, so who had discovered the structure of DNA, is a scientist where he also explained about the central dogma, that means to say the possible pathway for transfer of genetic information. It states that the genetic information flows from DNA to RNA, RNA to protein, but exceptionally what we can find is the reverse way we can find in case of reverse transcriptase, where RNA can synthesize DNA. So this is what you can find here, students, central dogma. So DNA self-replication, transcription, RNA translation, and protein. So what is central dogma? You can write it as a definition. What it is a pathway for transfer of genetic information. So if they ask what is a central dogma and write down the pathway, so you have to draw this, what exactly it is written here, students. Central dogma is the pathway for transfer of genetic information, and DNA can undergo self-replication, and DNA can undergo transcription and form RNA, RNA undergo translation and forms protein. This is what we call it as pathway for transfer of genetic information. Next, what do we have here is, in some virus, flow of information is in a reverse direction. That's what I said very clearly. This is what we call it as a reverse transcription, especially in a retroviridea. HIV belongs to retroviridea, students, where it has an enzyme called reverse transcriptase, which can produce DNA by using RNA. Usually RNA is going to be formed from the DNA, but here we're going to see the RNA is capable of producing DNA, what we call the process as reverse transcription. Now we'll move to the most important concept. So here, students, what we need to do is now we need to study the central dogma. So what is the first step in central dogma? DNA replication. So how exactly the DNA replication takes place, mechanism behind DNA replication, and experimental proof for the DNA replication we will discuss. And then we will discuss transcription where DNA is going to give RNA. Then we will discuss translation where RNA is going to give protein. So step by step we're going to study all of the central dogma, mainly replication of DNA, transcription of DNA to RNA, translation of RNA to protein. We will discuss step by step here, students. So the first step we're going to discuss the DNA replication. DNA replicates by semi-conservative mode of DNA replication. So replication is a copying of DNA from parental DNA to the daughter DNA. So Watson and Crick proposed semi-conservative model of replication. It suggests that the parental DNA strands acts as a template for the synthesis of new complementary strands. After replication of each DNA molecule would have one parental and one new strand. That is what we call it as semi-conservative mode of DNA replication, students. So if you find here what exactly the DNA replication, in the sense semi-conservative means, for example, you take it here, students, this is a DNA, two strands are there, okay. So what I am drawing here is DNA two strands. So now for easy to understand, we will make it this double stranded into single stranded. Definitely during replication it will undergo what? The double stranded DNA will become single stranded. See what I'm explaining here is semi-conservative mode of DNA. Semi-conservative mode of DNA. So what do we will find? We know that the polarity here, if it is a 5 prime, we're going to see the 3 prime here, then again 5 prime, 3 prime. So the same primes, if you write here, what we're going to have is, this is, for example, if you take this is a 5 prime strand, 3 prime, here again 3 prime, 5 prime. Sorry, students. So this is what the parental strand, that I will reduce the size here just to convenient make it, because every small place is here. So this is one strand, two strand. These two are parental strand, students. Keep in mind, parental strand. To these parental strands, where it is 5 prime here and 3 prime here, we're going to see synthesis of complementary strands. So these complementary strands are what we call it as daughter strands or a new strands which are synthesized. We'll have, for example, here it is 5 prime 3 prime. Here we're going to see 3 prime and 5 prime. Here again what we have here is 3 prime is here and 5 prime is here, students. So in reverse we're going to see here what we're going to, sorry, this is 5 prime here and 3 prime here. So in reverse we're going to see 3 prime 5 prime. So now if you see, this is a new DNA molecule. So one DNA molecule which was a double strand, you see here, students, one DNA molecule which was double strand, okay, the same we have separated here. So one DNA molecule has become now the two daughter DNA molecules. So each of the daughter molecule, one strand will be parental and another strand is newly synthesized. Here again this is a newly synthesized and new parental strand. So the new DNA molecule which is formed, of that is one strand will be parental and another strand will be newly synthesized. Here again another one DNA molecule formed from the same process, where it has one is parental, another one is newly synthesized. So what it means to say, students, semi, that is half is conserved and half is newly synthesized. This kind of DNA replication, what we call it as semi-conservative mode of DNA replication. So what is a semi-conservative mode of a DNA replication? So the DNA molecule will produce us two daughter DNA, where one strand will be parental and one strand will be new strand in that daughter DNA molecule, students. So DNA replication is copying of a DNA from the parental DNA, where it is explained by the Watson and Crick. So Watson and Crick proposed a semi-conservative model of DNA. That's what I've been said very clearly, students. Semi-conservative mode of DNA, what I'm highlighting here. So you should get it as I am shown. Semi-conservative in the sense, so the newly formed strand of DNA will have one parental and one new strand. So you can find here the same. So daughter DNA is where it is showing the old parental strand and new strands. So daughter DNA as a new strand as well as old strand. This is what we call it as semi-conservative mode of DNA replication. So Watson and Crick proposed a semi-conservative model of replication. It suggests that the parental DNA strand act as a template for the synthesis of new strand. So parental strand ಏನಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ, this is a template. By using template, new strand will be synthesized. How do they will synthesize the new strand? By using template, students. That's what I will show here. So how do will it synthesize new strand? Just I'm trying to find a space here. So how do it will synthesize a new strand, that we will discuss in the next class. Just for idea I will tell you, if we know the sequence on a one strand, like if we know the sequence here is the adenine, guanine, cytosine, so what will be the next complementary strand, right? So that's how the new strand is going to be synthesized, students. So today's question is define central dogma and schematically show the central dogma, students. In the next class we will discuss DNA replication. Thank you, students.